Well, y'all, hello, hello, hello. Happy Shabbat. I was wondering if I was going to get it in. Because, like I was saying before, I think it was last week or the week before that God had me nesting, cleaning out some things, making room, because he was about to drop something in my house. Yeah, them grandbabies showed up. And they need all the room they can get. But anyway, like I say, I was celebrating my birthday. I am truly, again, from the bottom of my heart, thank everybody that sent me a birthday shout out, a call, a messenger, anything. You didn't have to do it. You took to take time out of your day. You know, time is precious. You know, that's my love language is time. It's something that we can't give back. Only God can give it back. Only He can redeem the time. So the fact that you use something that only God can restore to you is truly a blessing, and I'm grateful. But anyway, you know, this week we on Nehemiah 5. And like I said, all the word always lines up with what I'm going through. But Nehemiah 5, and he really didn't give a topic for this week, but what he told me was, you know, being people taking advantage of others, basically. You know, when you're trying to help somebody, you help them, but you don't be, you know, helping is not causing oppression. So we're going to talk about oppressing the people. So don't take advantage of anybody, you know, and, you know, always put in there, you know, the body of Christ. That's what we do. We take advantage of people. We take the tithes and offering and get them to bring them in. And then when they come to us for a benevolent offer, we turn around and give what they gave back to them to make their ends meet. And then we act like, you know, beat on our chest like we doing something. I don't believe in that. I really don't. So we're going to talk today about taking advantage of others. Y'all have to forgive that dog. They going to work. The owners are not here. And that dog wasn't going to run around my house. So she in her room is one of them little teacup Yorkie terriers or whatever. She's going to sit in there and holler. I'm not going to sit and hold her every 5 minutes. I don't hold my grandchildren every 5 minutes. But I told him, you know, he going to have to take the dog with them when he take the kids or something. But like I say, we go into Nehemiah 5. We talk about taking advantage of others today. You remember we talk about Nehemiah building the wall, you know, back around Jerusalem. You know, they had tore it down. You know, they were in reproach. You know, their security was torn down. You know, what people can look in and see all their business or whatever. It was like they had no territory, no grounds. It was just all in rubbles and torn apart. So Nehemiah got the vision from God. That's who you need to get your vision from. Your vision from God, and to go in and rebuild the wall, to rebuild the people, not just the wall physically, but rebuild the souls and, you know, the people up, to get them to turn back to God, to pray to God. You know, we are living in a season where a lot of people have turned away from their first love. They have forgotten about God. You know, they're doing what they want to do in the skin that they want to do it in, because they really don't believe anymore. We've seen a lot of stuff. And, you know, I guess, you know, the very elect, the very elite, you know, everybody's falling away. So, you know, this is where your faith is really being tested. I always say that at the end of your journey, you know it's the end, because the frustration gets harder. It's very the end. Like I was talking to my financial counselor at my school or whatever. They got all kind of problems talking about they don't have no payment plan on the books and all this. I said, I don't see why you don't have no payment plan on the books. I done signed 3 promissory notes, you know, and I have the next payday, and faithfully they taking the payment out of my bank account. So why don't you have, you know, a payment agreement on the books? So, you know, the enemy is always crafty, trying to do something. I don't know if they're trying to get more money. You know, it's just stress or whatever. And I had to tell him, I said, look, I'm not giving another dollar. I'm not giving another dollar before my payment day either. So I done have all these degrees, 3 master's degrees and a doctorate, and now I'm having problems with this one practicum in 2 courses? I don't understand that. So they got quiet. And, I'm pretty sure they taking a break with the weekend or whatever, because they know I will shut it down. Because I'm not going to keep, you're not going to keep pulling money from me and I'm not stupid. I got all these pieces of paper, not for decoration. They did teach me some. I did stay awake in class, a few classes at least. But anyway, like I said, when you come into the end of a thing, that's when it gets the worst. That's when it gets the hardest. Even it reminds me again of a woman having birth. The last however many hours, but the last bit is the hardest time. That's what she's got to really, really push. If she don't really, really push, the child can't come out. You got to really, really push. So this is where we're in the pushing phase. And a lot of people need to get back to God in the pushing phase. A lot of people giving up, they've turned their way. They say, well, God ain't there. But God is still in control. God allowed everything that we went through. He allowed the pandemic. He allowed the government to be corrupt and everything. Remember, he allowed Judas, the treasurer, to steal the bank, to run around holding the bag and steal the money. He allowed Judas to have Jesus crucified. So God knows what's going on. You just got to stay in communication with God. You got to stay listening to him. So, like I say, Nehemiah 5, we talk about oppression, taking advantage of others. We got to make sure we're not doing that, because if we are doing that, then that's the reason why our life is stagnant. That's the reason why we're not, having good health or whatever, because when we do others wrong, God, he starts lifting his hand, He controls our health. He controls our finances. He controls the activity of our limbs, our sound mind. In here we're going to talk about, he took some and he said we're going to shake something. He's going to shake it. We're going to get in here and talk about the shaking. When God shakes you, you start losing stuff. Stuff start falling out your pockets. You start losing houses and jobs and everything. Like I said, I don't want to get ahead of myself. We're going to be in Nehemiah 5. You should have your book by now. And we're going to begin verse 1. And there was a great cry of the people and of their wives against their brethren, the Jews. They were crying out to Nehemiah because of what was going on, the oppression that was going on. Verse 2. For their word that said, we, our sons and our daughters, are many. Therefore we take up corn for them that we may eat and live. They talk about, they're gathering things together. Back in the day, we had the bartering system where if I had flour and you had eggs or whatever, between all the houses, we could build a cake or whatever, or some cornbread, if you got, or hot water cornbread, some collard greens, we could make a meal or whatever. That was how it was back in the day. So they was gathering things up. So to be able to feed the family, to make sure, everybody in the community had something to eat. That's when people walked in love. That's when people, did for others. Out here, it's every man for themselves. If people look at me crazy because I'm running around here doing for others, because I know God got my back. I'm not one that can look at somebody be hungry and just sit there and eat in front of them. I'm just not one of those ones. But I do have common sense. You're not going to come in here and take my last and keep taking my last to where I'm drained. And then I have an empty cup. And then, because I've had a few empty cups. And then when those cups were empty, people ran on and you never seen them no more. I had to sit and struggle and get to God and have my cup filled back up. So now my cup stay full. I give out of my overflow. And if there ain't no overflow, to God be the glory. Go get your own cup. That's how I am now. When you go through something, you learn something. When you go through people that's been taking advantage of you and all of that, you learn something about people. I had a message today on my birthday that was telling me, that they don't make them like like they used to or whatever. My friend was telling me about my smile, that it heals because, I'm genuine or whatever. We don't have a lot of genuine people anymore. So it's when I find somebody that's genuine, or somebody that's a real one, I stick closer than a brother, because I know they just like me charging hell with a squirt gun. because everybody coming at them, haters. I always say, like I said on my birthday, they my very elite. Thank you for because without y'all, I wouldn't be able to be promoted. My haters, they the enemy uses them to do things to cause a rise out of me to help me be promoted. So that's how I stay blessed. Scripture even says in Matthew 5 that blessed are the persecuted. I'm persecuted day in and day out. That's why I'm so blessed. So I love them. It say love your enemies. I have a reason to love them because I'm so blessed. I am. But anyway, like I say, you don't have too many genuine people. You have those that take advantage of others so that they can get a rise and, build them own self up. They oppress others. And you got to be careful who you oppress. You got to be careful who you put your mouth on. Because you put your mouth on the wrong one or you oppress the wrong one, you're going to mess around there and pull your own self down. Like I said, we're going to get to that part. Let's go verse 4. There were also that said, we have borrowed money for the king's tribute, and that upon our lands and vineyards. Verse 5 says, and yet now our flesh is as the flesh of our brethren, our children as their children. And lo, we bring into bondage our sons and our daughters to be servants, and some of our daughters are brought unto bondage already. Neither is it in our power to redeem them, for other men have our lands and vineyards. Basically, they were sold out to slaves. They were taken into slavery, by their own people, their own kind, their own nation. That's what they mean talking about, our flesh is the same flesh as our brethren. My nation is the one nation that I know that we will sell each other out. We'll throw each other under the bus, to uplift our own self. It shouldn't be like that way. But it is in our nation because a lot of us don't know how to sit down and educate ourselves to learn to do things differently. So we would rather pull from somebody in our nation that has more than us or take advantage of us or, any kind of thing like that instead of go out there and learn and do what we got to do to get done what we need to be done. So we got financial illiteracy. Instead of going out learning to be literate in finances, we want to sit and take from the next one. We want to cause oppression. What God, what is it? The blessings of God maketh rich and addeth no sorrow. So when we say we bless, but we got sorrow because we taking down our brother or our sister when we supposed to be our brother or sister's keeper. We supposed to watch out for one another. We ain't supposed to rob each other so we can build each other up. I don't have to step on your neck to raise me higher. And you don't have to step on my neck to raise me higher. We ought to be able to raise each other up. But like I say, my nation, it's more of us. Well, let me shut up. I better get off of that because they be ready to kick me off of here. Yeah, when we learn to come together and can be in unity, as far as helping one another, but I don't know. We can't put two women in the kitchen without a fight, especially if a man is involved. But anyway, let's get back. They take the slaves. They didn't have the power to redeem those that was taken, the land that was taken and everything. They got these people out of captivity is basically what it was saying from the other chapters. They brought them out of captivity, but then they turned around and put them in a different captivity by using them, taking advantage of them. And Nehemiah got angry. Number 6, he says, and I was very angry when I heard their cry and these words. Verse 7 says, then I consulted with myself, and I rebuked the nobles and the rulers, the leaders, the people that was doing all of this, and said unto them, ye exact usury, every one of his brother. You just using these people. You taking advantage of them. You oppressing them. You know they don't have, and you sitting up living high on the hog, or you taking from them, or whatever. And I said a great assembly against them. He came against them. So verse 8 says, and I said unto them, we after our ability have redeemed our brethren, the Jews, which were sold unto the heathen. And will ye even sell your brother? Will you even sell your brother out? We done redeemed them. So what? They can go into captivity with you. You can take from them. Every man for himself. We got them out of their hands, and now you taking from them. That don't make no sense. That's my nation. It sounds like my nation. That's why you can't tell me that the Israelites wasn't my nation. Like I said, I'm gonna get off of that. They be running to take me off of that. But this show sounds like my nation. They show act like this today. History repeats itself. Ain't nothing new under the sun, like Solomon said. So, and he was the richest and wisest man in the world, and he said that. So, you can't come against people. You can't redeem somebody and then turn around and take from them. The leaders, the rulers, the people that think that they got followers. A lot of them following because they can't afford to do nothing else. So they got some type of financial pull on them. They need their help. But when them people wake up, when they learn to come to themselves, like the prodigal son did, when they learn to come to themselves, they get their senses together and realize that they can do it themselves. They can get God for themselves. When the veil was rent, we don't need no middleman or nobody to go to God for ourselves. You can go to God for yourself and talk to God, and person to person, spirit to spirit. You can get in worship with God yourself and hear from God yourself. You don't have to have no high priest no more. All you have to do is have a heart and a relationship with God. You got to have him, receive him for yourself. We don't need no Nehemiah, no Nebuchadnezzar, no Jezebel. We don't need no other person that think they bigger than or more than they are. We don't need none of that. Yes, we need a pastor and a prophet to hear the voice from God, for corporately to maybe speak into our lives. For those of us that don't have the faith that's elevated to where those are. But you can go to God for yourself. We got so many of these people that, it's big business. I always say that. It's big business. They come in, they want to collect the offering plate, pass the offering plate. They want to collect the money and go home and pay their bills or pay the bills of the sanctuary they're in. They ain't doing nothing for the community. They not doing nothing at all. But they get mad at me because I want to do something for the community. I ain't trying to make a name for myself or trying to be seen out there with the community. If that's the case, I'd pitch up a tit and get some crock pots and everything, stand outside with a table and feed every homeless person that's coming through there, like a lot of people are doing. They pulling up in the vans with their big old logo wraps around the van, talking about this organization or that organization, seeing them feeding the people or whatever. They just trying to be seen. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to build something where, like Jesus came through, when he came through, he helped those people, and those people came out of what they were in. Like mental health. I'm in mental health. There's a lot of clients. I have witnesses. There's a lot of clients that don't have their diagnosis no more. Because when you meet Jesus, you ought to meet him at a place where when you leave him, you don't have that problem or that issue anymore. When the woman with the issue of blood came to Jesus, she couldn't get his attention, but she said, if I just touch but the hem of his garment. She got down there and touched his garment. Just touched his garment, and she was made whole. So when you get to Jesus, for real, when you really get to Jesus and you leave Jesus, you'll be changed. You ain't praising and praying and talking about you got Jesus and you got the Father and you so blessed and everything. And you still got the same ailments and you still doing the same thing. You still doing the same sin. You still cussing. You still smoking. You still drinking. You still doing all of these things. You ain't been delivered from nothing. You ain't met Jesus for real. And then when these people come in there and they're trying to get the healing and stuff that you profess to have, all you doing is taking advantage of them. You taking in their offering, and then prayers ain't getting no higher than the ceiling. See, I can't, that's why I don't do live. Because, I'm going to leave this on here too, just to prove a point. I don't do lives because when I go on a rant, I don't got no filter. People don't like what I say. I'm not in the business of taking offering plates and getting people money to forward my bills. I make money. Let's just say that. I don't know about the tax people around here. I pay my taxes, but I don't want to give nobody no ideas. But I make money. So why do I need to go and get money from somebody else? God blesses me to make money. He gave me a pro-profit bit of side hustles. I took my daughter, we turned on DoorDash for the first time. And we made $400 in 6 hours because they had a promo. So why would I want to sit around with an offering plate and take everybody else's money and oppress the people, pray for them and preach to them, and then turn around and be the same thing that's taken from them? You can't be a predator and a healer at the same time. I think I just said something. You can't pray on the people and then turn around and heal them at the same time or restore them at the same time. All you do is got people sitting there looking at you, passing the offering plate, giving the offering plate. They're not getting out their situation. And that's what God is not pleased. We got all these temples and these organizations, these buildings and these cathedrals and everything being built in areas that don't need to be built in because the people are still, they're not changing. They looking at all that eyesore when that money could have been poured into them. A lot of it is mental illness. Yes. A lot of them need that. Well, help them get that. Don't sit there and talk about them. Don't complain about them. Talking about, they just, you're out there, you got the eyesore out there in front of them, before them. You put that money before them. You ought to take some up and help them. Like I say, I get on a rant because there's a lot of things being done, a lot of things being shown, but nothing is impacting the community. Nothing. I got 6 contracts and so I'm only one person. When I get people, building a community that want to pour, like I say, I got about 4 or 5 people now that want to pour into the community for real, that ain't trying to just out there make a name for themselves and have their face on a platter, a billboard or something. It'll flow better. I'm looking at more funding, more backing, or whatever. It's time to get that. We have never seen this many homeless people on the street. I ain't trying to pass an offering plate. I'm not trying to pass a pizza box to these people. I'm not trying to give hygiene bags and stuff and just do that. No, I'm trying to build a facility. There's some of it right there. I'm trying to build a facility to get these people off the street. Because that's what Jesus would do. He won't sit there and just feed them and go home. He did what he needed to do when he came before the people, or the people was in the presence of Jesus. I said this a minute ago. The people were changed. Why I want to go to a building every weekend, have potluck, a feel-good message, and go home. Pay some money in an offering plate. I got enough bills. I don't need another bill. I really don't. I read right here. I put my money in my nonprofit, or God tell me to bless somebody, I bless somebody. But I don't need another bill just to sit up in an air-conditioned building. What do I want to do that for? I can sit at home in front of my TV. If I'm not going to impact the community, why even go out? Why even go? Just to look like I'm doing something, just to have a title? I don't need a title. Everybody call me those, ordinations, yes, but God created me to be Dr. Bell. He gave me the strength, the character, the mindset, the sound mind to complete all those degrees in that doctorate. That's the one. I ain't trying to be pastor so-and-so or whatever. That's who he created me to be. That's what he ordained me to be before the foundations of the world. That was him. I'm just Dr. Bell in the field and in the ministry. I'm Dr. Bell everywhere I go. That's what people know me as. And I change not. I don't have a light switch that I flip on and flip off. Where I'm Dr. Bell one moment, happy and nice, and I'm not Jock Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I'm not. I've seen a lot of that lately. But they act one way in front of one person, and they do something else in front of another. A lady I was talking to, she said she went to an organization, And they treated her so badly or whatever, and they didn't even, wasn't no love in there. She wasn't going to go again, but she decided to go again the next week. And they treated her totally different and, ushered her in and everything. The difference is the leader was home. Now, I'm not one of those ones that just going to act one way because the leader is home and I'm going to act another way, something else. Ain't nobody got no power to change my personality like that. So, we talk about taking advantage of people. These are the type of people that take advantage of people because they're fickle. You don't know whether they're going to be one way one day or another way the next. So, these are the people that want to take from you, pull from you, get all they can get from you, and then if you need, they want to give you crumbs back of what you gave because they ain't got nothing to give themselves. They selfish and greedy. How you going to save people out of oppression, save people out of captivity, and then turn around and oppress them and make it like you're doing something or you've done something? I ain't going to call out no names, but I can call a few. But anyway, let's get back to this. And I said, and let's go to verse 8. And I said unto them, we after our ability have redeemed our brethren the Jews. Yeah, we read that. Which were sold unto the heathen. And will ye even sell your brethren? Yeah, you caught them out of captivity. They were sold to slaves. Now you going to sell them again. So shall they be sold unto us. Then held their peace and found nothing to answer. They couldn't say nothing after that. Verse 9 says, also I said, it is not good that ye do. Ought ye not to walk in the fear of our God because of the reproach of the heathen, our enemies? In other words, if we walking in the fear of God, we ain't going to treat people the way the world treats them. We ain't going to treat people wrong. We ain't going to turn around and bring them out of captivity and then turn around and place them in our own captivity. We're not going to benefit off the backs of people. God does not like that. Because, see, what you're doing is your provision, your source is coming from the people that you're benefiting from that you're oppressing. Your source isn't God. God is a jealous God. You making them your God and not God. So, when you are so worried about the people or the backs of the people, offering plate or whatever to get the bills paid in the church, then God ain't in it. Ain't no God in there. If God is in there, the Spirit of God is in there, God will take care of his own bills. He's more than capable. He's more than capable. I know he is. He takes care of my house, my car, my children. He takes care of everything. Everything just flows because God is in control. Verse 10, I likewise and my brethren and my servants might exact of them money and corn. I pray you, let us leave off this usury. Let's stop doing this. Stop bringing them into captivity. Stop oppressing them. You know that they need. You know that we just brought them out of captivity, so they ain't got no money. They haven't, the work that they did, they wasn't getting paid for. So how are they supposed to come out of captivity and have money in their pocket to take care of their family and their household? How are these people supposed to come off the street and go into our sanctuaries in the organization and try to pay tithes and offering, and they just came off the street? They just came off the street. They ain't had no job. They looking for food, shelter, clothes. They looking for all of this. They coming to you for help. But you pass an offering plate. Verse 11. Now y'all know what's I don't go lie. Verse 11. Restore, I pray you, to them, even this day, their lands, their vineyards, their olive yards, and their houses. Also the 100th part of the money and of the corn, the wine, and the oil that ye exact of them. Let's go on to verse 12. Then said ye, we will restore them and we will require nothing of them. This is what you're supposed to do. When God sends you somebody to help, when you don't kick a person when they down. I was taught that. My mama taught me that long time ago when I was growing up. You don't kick a person when they down. Well, she told me you don't kick a man when they're down. But that's anybody. Anybody that's down, you don't kick them when they're down. If they can't do nothing for themselves, how you going to require of them? How you going to make them owe you something? That don't make no sense. That's like, a loan, you in debt to somebody. And the Bible say be in debt to no man or woman. Them the men's with the wounds. So why would we do this? Why would we have, bring somebody out of captivity and then put them back in captivity with us? Bring somebody out of oppression and then oppress them ourselves. That's not of God. That's of the world. Like I say, verse 12, then said they, we will restore them, but we will require nothing of them. So will we do as thou sayest? Then I called the priests. He called them the big dogs. Now he called them the leaders, the priests, and took an oath to them, made them promise, because your word is your bond. Made them promise that they should do according to this promise. You don't need to take nothing. These people ain't got nothing. How you gonna take whatever they can find? They need to get restored. They need to be redeemed. You can't never become redeemed or restored if you're always pulling from somebody that's trying to get built up. I can say, I lived this. My child got into a situation. He home with mama for a minute, not pulling nothing from him. Other than clean up behind yourself, help keep up with the dog, clean the yard, stuff like that. I'm not pulling from him. He can still take his and stack it so he can restore himself. Because he went through something, these jobs around here is fickle nowadays. So, you really can't know whether you're going to have a job from today or tomorrow or whatever. So, you don't bring people in to take from them. Now, after he gets himself restored, get himself together to where, he can, manage, yeah, he going to have to pay rent or whatever. But if he ain't got no money, ain't got no job, how can I oppress him even more? Just start, put a tab on it? That's oppression. That's not love. That's not walking in love. Running a tab is not walking in love. So, that was a message for somebody. Don't be running no tab. If you do stuff for people, do it out of the goodness of your heart. Don't be looking forward to come back. Now, if you do something for people and they can't pay and you expecting them to pay anyway, well, when you get it, you ain't do it out of the goodness of your heart or God. You did it because you thought you can have a payday later on. You do it for selfish desires. You had an agenda. You taking advantage of people. And maybe that's the reason why that's being done to you. So according to his promise, verse 13, also I shook my lap. This is why I'm talking about he was shaking. He shook his lap, that cloth, and said, so God, shake out every man from his house and from his labor that performeth not this promise, even thus be he shaken out and empty. And all the congregation said, amen, and praised the Lord. And the people did according to this promise. That Nehemiah prayed to God. And as he shook it out, he was asking God to shake everybody out that don't follow the promise. That want to continue to be oppressive and, leave the people in captivity and try to take from the people. Try to kick them when they're down. Try to take advantage of them. He said everybody that continues to do that and don't fulfill the promise, make the holes in their pockets. Shake everything out of their pockets. Their household, their job. Make them lose everything they have because they want to be selfish and oppress the Jews. Oppress the people that they just got out of captivity. That's what happens to a lot of people. When you oppress somebody, when you are burdening somebody, stressing somebody on top of the stress and burden that they already have, you can't keep money in your pocket. There's another scripture saying holes in your pocket. You can't keep nothing for yourself because, the more you try to get, the more you out there chasing the bag, the more you trying to do, it just don't never seem to get full. So you're never going to receive overflow. Because why? You are oppressing somebody else. When you stop oppressing somebody else, then that's what God will allow your cup to run over. It'll be full. So that's why people don't understand. I give, and it shall be given unto you. I don't sit there and put a price tag on it. I tell people, okay, I need this, or because you can't just give all the time because people will take advantage of you. I say, let me have it there. But if they don't give it, I don't hold it over their head. It's up to me whether I want to give again or not. So I don't hold it over their head. They pay it off. Like my son, he owed me some money or whatever. I told him, I said, well, what? You ain't going to keep paying your bills. You just get it back to me when you can, basically, or whatever. But I realized that he wasn't going to get it back because he was too busy buying this and that. When he can, could do. So I took it out and trade. I said, you do this, you help me do this, and the bill is canceled. So that's how we did that in raising up children. But there have been people that come into my life that, I've helped and taken care of their rent, their lights, and whatever, and to God be the glory, because you can't expect people to give to you when, I don't know who that was. You can't expect people to give to you when they don't have. Yep, that's got the dog going again. But anyway, where we at? We at verse. Yeah, he was shaking out empty. That means everything, his house, his car, his finance, his job, everything. He'll lose everything. If you continue to oppress somebody else, you'll find out that your pockets can't hold nothing. So, verse 14. Moreover, from this time that I was appointed to be their governor in the land of Judah, from the 20th year, even unto the 32nd year of Artaxerxes the king, that is, 12 years, I and my brethren have not eaten the bread of the governor. In other words, Nehemiah is saying, as being a governor, he's afforded the pay of a governor. But he said he ain't eating the bread of a governor. He's not taking, his pay, his rightful pay, because these people are oppressed. He needs, he knows these people need to eat and take care of their families. So what he's doing, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me go to verse 15. But the former governors that had been before me were chargeable unto the people, and had taken of them bread and wine, besides 40 shekels of silver. Yea, even their servants bear rule over the people. But so did not I, because of the fear of God. In other words, Nehemiah feared God, and he didn't take from the people. He didn't take over the people. It was talking about the priests and everything. It said 40 shekels of silver. Y'all realize in the book of with Judas, that's 10 shekels of silver more than Judas sold Jesus out for. So these leaders was greedy, and all they did was care for themselves. They were selfish and self-righteous and in their own flesh. And they didn't care for the people. But Nehemiah is saying, even their servants bear rule over the people, but so did I not. He didn't want to have rule over the people because he feared God. God was his ruler, not the people. Not the rulers over the people. Verse 16. Yeah, also I continued in the work of this wall. Neither bought we any land, and all my servants were gathered thither unto the work. He didn't buy himself. He didn't buy no house. He didn't buy nothing. All he did was care for what he took everything he needed and built up the wall of Jerusalem. He was focused on what God told him to do, and God provided the rest. God provided his land. God provided his provision, his tools and supplies. God took care of him. How many of us is so worried about what we gonna do, or what we gonna get, or how much we gonna get? How many of us are still hoarding from the pandemic? We don't know what's coming. How many of us is looking out for our brother or our sister? We so busy trying to make sure we got that we ain't too busy worrying about everybody else. That's why you got a lot of scams and stuff coming into play. I went to help a ministry, and that's because this individual, she's finna really just take them under the bus. She's finna drag them through the mud. And they would have had to deal with all of that. And, I don't believe in, people messing with other people. I don't believe in people taking advantage of other people. I just never have believed in bullies on people that don't know, or the younger people or whatever, or people that's just not, say as intelligent or whatever. That's a coward to me. I don't like that. It's just always got to rise out of me. But we have a lot of people in the ministry, in the organization that's doing that, because wolf in sheep's clothing. They coming in to try to get the best of everything, to get what they can get. They ain't thinking about God. Their hearts are far from God. And the people in the organization doesn't know, and they ain't paying attention because their hearts are far from God. They need to return to their first love. When they return to their first love, God will restore. But like I say, everybody is leaning to their own understanding, doing their own thing. That's why I say I'm done with the organization. Unless God tell me, I'm done with the organization. Because I'm like, I ain't got, why waste time? You know, you dealing with people that they don't believe themselves. You can't make nobody believe. You can lead them to water, but you can't make them drink. So why waste my time? That's dead weight to me. That holds me back, holds me down, or whatever. But I need people that want to take up their bed and walk. I need people that want to go. I need they help take up the cross and go. You know, to help build up the kingdom of God. I don't need somebody just want to sit there and, you know, have their own way, stay, you know, in their confusion or whatever. You know, God is not the author of confusion. So I'm out here doing what thus saith the Lord, the way God say do it. Because, like I say, a lot of people, they've turned their heart away from God. You know, a lot of people are committing adultery against God because they're serving other spirits, they're serving other deities, and they act like they don't even know it, which they don't know it because they so far from God, they don't even realize how God is anymore. They couldn't recognize the Spirit of God in the building and one that's not, because they've been so far away from Him to where they don't understand. So, I got to hurry up and get done. So, let's go. What was we at? Did the work? Verse 17, I guess. Moreover, there were at my table and 150 of the Jews and rulers, beside those that came unto us from among the heathen that are about us. Verse 18, now that which was prepared for me daily was 1 ox and 6 choice sheep. Also fowls were prepared for me, and once in 10 days store of all sorts of wine. Yet for all this required not I the bread of the governor, because the bondage was heavy upon this people. He didn't take a pay. He didn't take a salary. That's what was afforded to him. All of that was his, but he didn't take it. What he did was he gave it to the people. He shared it amongst the people that didn't have. That's how you know those who are of Christ. I believe Scripture says that too. That's how you know who has His Spirit. These ones that's all right run around here holding the bag and trying to get the bag and trying to, you know, they doing everything but giving. When you see giving genuinely, that's God. When you see taking, always thinking of himself, that's the enemy. So listen to what the messages say. Listen to the voice. If it sounds like God, if it resonates with God, then that's God. I mean, and I can't talk about that form of godliness. But if it looked like something Jesus would do, if it resonates with the book, if it lines up with the word, with what God would do, what God says in His word, then it's God. If it's not, you being bamboozled. You're being taken advantage of. People are coming in to oppress you. I just left an experience like that. Sat there for, I think 4 to 6 weeks. Sat there on all my education, on all everything. Wasn't allowed to do nothing. Because had I got back up there in position, they wasn't going to have that position no more. So they kept the position as long as they could hold on to it. But like I say, there are people coming in that ain't of God. We are living in the day of false witnesses. We living in the day of false prophets. They can call me a devil, a Jezebel, any and all day long. But I have the evidence. God made me an example. I am a single mom. that is blessed and highly favored for real, more than a lot, more than those who are speaking against me. God is not taking, He's not taking nothing and shaking me, because I'm not trying to run around and oppress nobody. You know, he's constantly building me up. He's constantly giving me overflow. You know, when he sends me something in for me to help, it don't take me down. I'm able to help and send them about their business or whatever. So if you are not being beneficial and helping somebody, then you ain't doing nothing. If you just filling your own pockets, you ain't making it in. How could you look at your brother and sister struggling and not care and say you of God and say you of Christ? There's a lot of things I've had to deal with that I didn't want to deal with, but I had to deal with it because I had to walk with people. I've had to deal with things with my children that I didn't want to deal with because I've had to walk with them. I'm sure there's people in life that had to deal with things that they don't want to deal with me because they've had to walk with me in the past. You know, I'm OCD. I'm very anal. I could get on people's nerves. My oldest son will tell you that. I like things a certain way, and if it ain't that way, I'll be quiet and go on about my business. You know, I'm not going to force anybody to do anything, but I ain't going to sit and live in a way that I don't want to live either. So, when I can't have my way, I don't fight. You look around, Dr. Bell be gone. So, and I know I make sure my way lines up with God's way. If it don't, God will tell me I have to go back and repent or whatever. But I try to stay with God because I don't like to go back and repent. So, when I'm told that I'm not wanted, I'm no longer needed, what I'm going to sit there around and cry for? You know, I'm not going to be set around to be taken advantage of, to just, you know, I'm not going to be controlled. So it's a lot of people. I'm glad we on this. It's a lot of people being controlled, being taken advantage of because they don't have a voice. They too scared to stand up and say something for themselves. Maybe they're not educated enough. That's what I spend most of my time doing, is being a voice for somebody else because of my education, because they never took the time to educate themselves. There's a lot of people that's been here years and they never educated themselves. They never kept up with the times, modern technology. They never did nothing for themselves, but they think they're doing something. You got those that's holding the bag, thinking money is all that they need. So, I know a former president that realized one day when he did something that money couldn't buy him out of that. I don't know if he learned prayer or what, but he did something that money couldn't replace. And he stood up there looking like a deer in headlights, speechless, because he didn't have nothing else. Nothing that could replace what was taken. Anyway, we got to stop taking advantage of other people. You know, if you take advantage of other people, that's the reason why you're being taken advantage of. You know, there's always a bigger wolf. You know, you may be the big wolf beating on, you know, the little ones. But then there's always a bigger wolf to come and beat on you. You know, you get what you put out. You reap what you sow. That's in good and in evil. So if you're oppressing somebody, that's the reason why you're experiencing oppression in your life. Verse 19, think upon me, my God, for good, according to all that I have done for this people. Think upon me, my God, for good. Nehemiah's praying. He's saying, I'm giving all that I have, all that's afforded to me, all that I deserve. I'm giving my pay. I'm giving my all my increase. I'm sharing it. I'm sacrificing it with people that don't have, you know, so that they have, so that they can take care of their family, so that they can, you know, their household. I'm giving all. I'm sharing all of what I have with them. He said, my God, for good. He said, according to all that I have done for this people. He wants God to think of him for good. In other words, he wants God to bless him for his being a blessing to others. He didn't have to do it. He didn't have to. He could have sat high up on the hall in the throne in the governor's chair and kept all his stuff and looked around at the people suffering. He could have done like so many do. He could have sat around and looked at all them ones with, ailments and illnesses. Just look around people and not care in the world. But he had a heart. And that's a heart of flesh, I want to say. And that's what a lot of people are missing, is a heart of flesh. Because they've gotten so hardened. A lot of people have gone stone cold. And so many people are after that money. Chasing that bag, trying to get that money to where they'll kill their mother to get it. By any means necessary. They will do whatever they got to do to get it. They'll take their brother, their sister, their nation down to get it. Because they think that's what they need. But what they really need is God. They pray, but their prayers don't get no higher than the ceiling. Because if you're not walking and operating in God and the love of God, God ain't hearing you. Like I say, mess around and the righteous pray on you, and God gonna hear their prayer. And that's what a lot of us got to start doing. A lot of us that do know God, we got to stop being quiet. We got to stop sitting there being quiet, because he may be just looking for a voice. We got to start crying out, praying for the people. Praying, against the enemy. And if the enemy is in those people that's taking the offering plates and taking the money and just want to be seen and just want to beat on their chest, then so be it. Whatever God got to use to get them people to turn their life around, that's fine. But then you got to realize some people don't want their life turned around. That's why he say hell is wide. That's why he say the ground opens up. It ain't just no small portion. Hell is big. It's extended. It's broad. So he knew it was going to be a lot of people that was going to need to go there. So he made plenty of room for them. We just got to make sure that we're in line with God, and we can't worry about what they want to do. They have free will to do what they want to do. As much as we love them, even our children, as much as we love them and want them to make it in and have the Spirit of God, all we can do is pray for them and walk upright before them. Their relationship is between them and God. So I'm going to get off of here. I got an appointment to go to. I just wanted to make sure I got in here and did this. I got grandbabies now and stuff running around. So I need to make sure that I'm able to get this done. The dog is one thing, but grandbabies running around here yelling and screaming, ain't no way possible. I'll probably end up doing it in my Cadillac again. But anyway, I just want to get on here and talk to y'all about, don't be allowing people to take advantage of you. And please, don't you be taking advantage of nobody. If you see somebody in need and you have what they need, even if you just can share half of it, show the love of Christ. Don't show the world. Show the love of Christ. I'm trying to tell you, that's how the biggest way that I'm blessed the way I'm blessed. Because I run around showing the love of Christ. That's, I run around doing the thing that I would want somebody to do if I was in that situation. And God continually blesses me because I'm caring for his people. I'm allowing him to use my vessel to care for his people. I don't have to stand up on no soapbox. I ain't got to be in front of no pulpit. or no podium, like a lot of people want to do, just to be seen, to preach to people that ain't even listening to them, and they not being blessed in their life, because you can tell they ain't being blessed. Some of them wearing the same old threads, so they ain't being blessed. They just up there want to be beat on their chest and have somebody hear them. They already getting their reward right there. Where those of us that's out here doing the work, I felt that. Those of us that's out here doing the work, God is blessing. He's showering. I'm using my overflow to bless others. Like I say, I got to get off of here and get ready to go to an appointment. But I want y'all to continually stay encouraged. Continually look and take inventory of your life. Who's taking advantage of you? Who's got you in some type of mental captivity? Who's oppressing you mentally? Maybe you need to get away from them. Look and see if you're oppressing somebody. Maybe you may be holding somebody captivity, mental captivity. Maybe you've been a little too much or a little extra on somebody. You got to be able to give. If you're not releasing anything out of your life every day, then you're not gaining anything. He said, give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, shall men give unto your bosom. This is the reason why I'm blessed. I run around giving all the time. I'm a giver. I love to give. But anyway, y'all stay blessed.